I'm Marella Fernandez. Thanks for joining us here on Market Call. Kim Bolton is the guest today, President and Portfolio Manager of Black Swan Dexteritas. He'll take your questions on technology stocks. Call us toll free 1-855-326-6266. You can also reach us by email, marketcall@bnnbloomberg.ca. Kim, thanks very much for joining us today. Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Marella.
Let's start with a couple of questions just about the market today and where we are, because there's been a lot of change. NASDAQ back up today, up 250 points last time I checked. The TSX also doing well today. But you've said you believe some of Donald Trump's sort of threats and uncertainties settling into the economy. What do you mean? What do you see?
I don't know. Every day he seems to come
every
up with...
second,
yes. And I think the market is actually getting a little numbed by the whole thing. But it's still very constructive. You know, here we are. I look at the recent pullback as just sort of a consolidation. You know, you came off of 2023 with, 15 to 20% returns. In 2024, it was 20 to 25%. So the fact that it hasn't rolled over, it's just sort of consolidated in here.
Okay, so we have a lot of deadlines coming up as well. But of course, everybody watching today for NVIDIA to find out what happens after close. People want to see growth. Investors want to see growth. Are you expecting to see that?
It better. NVIDIA is really sort of the poster child, I guess, for the AI revolution. And, they're the leader when it comes to the GPUs and the discrete GPUs. So, I'm not that concerned about NVIDIA. We've shaved a little bit when it was up around above 140, 145. And then we bought some just recently. So we're holding, through our portfolios, probably around between 5 and 6% in NVIDIA. However, it's not just NVIDIA. It's going to be a reflection of the demand in the whole AI revolution. So it's an important thing. Now, NVIDIA is sort of well known to sort of sandbag their earnings and their revenue. So they actually gave guidance of $37.5 billion. We think they'll probably come in around 38.5, 39. But the most important part is going to be the guidance and what they're seeing in the demand for their GPUs, for their Hopper, for their Blackwell chips. And so it's a big day. So
you expect some growth, but I'm just wondering about the DeepSeek reality check and how that plays out for this quarter.
We actually look at DeepSeek very constructively, right? Because it's sort of spread now over into China. Whether you believe everything that they tell you, although they have brought it out in open source right now, but it's just sort of propelled, I think, this AI revolution. So are there questions about what it's really bringing to the table? Sorry? Are there questions about what it's really bringing to the table? No. So the Blackwell chips are the latest addition coming out of NVIDIA. And what they used was the cheaper Hopper chips, and they used less of them. And so it came out, it was both cost effective, it didn't use as much energy. So that's why it's sort of constructive, and it sort of allows end users to say, hey, maybe it isn't going to be as expensive. But look at the demand out there. Just just this year, you've got all the hyperscalers coming out. They're forecasting just this year $350 billion. And then you had the Stargate thing that came out, and that's another $500 billion. So the demand is there. And actually, when you look at NVIDIA, they are completely sold out for the next 12 months. So it's more about the guidance going into 2026, I think.
Got it. All right. We have Kim Bolton with us today, President and Portfolio Manager, Black Swan Dexteritas. He'll be taking your questions on technology stocks when we come back. Welcome back to Market Call. Kim Bolton in-house to take your questions on technology stocks. Let's start with a viewer question that has come in through email. This is Medhat in Langley, BC, saying, after the sudden and unexplainable rise of Snowflake stock, is the stock a buy, a sell, or a hold? This is a software company.
So here we are, Snowflake. I was actually at a Gartner research meeting this morning, and they were talking about database management systems. I was very surprised on how competitive they are actually with the hyperscalers out there. And they've really caught up. So here we are, we're sitting around 168. We have a 12-month price target of 228. And so what they do, just to back up, so its core offering is really integrating data storage, processing, and analytics, allowing business to manage data workflows both on-premise but also in the cloud, and doing it across clouds. So it's a very key player with the likes of the hyperscalers, but it also gravitates over into the on-premise side of things.
So it allows integration.
Yeah.
Got it. All right,
Yeah.
let's go to the phones, and we have Joe on the line who's calling us today from Ottawa. Hi, Joe, what's your question?
Yeah, hi, Morella. First, I just want to say I'm a huge fan of yours from Pulse and CTV, so you're a great addition to
way back
Market
in the
Call.
day.
Yeah,
Thank you.
way back. I'll be also a big fan of Kim, if he can give me his outlook on Checkpoint Software for the next year. What does he see for the future for them?
Thanks, Joe, for the so Checkpoint. They are a player in the endpoint security side of things, and they actually currently trading at $2.80. We follow them quite closely because they actually originated out of Israel, and we have a 12-month price target of $4.20. Now, there are other players within this. One that we also like, Joe, is CyberArk. So you might want to look at that one too.
CyberArk. Okay, where do you see the growth for Checkpoint?
Just the fact that, the identity access management side is just a huge player because of all the ransomware that is going on around. So they identify outside, but they also identified inside players.
Got it. All right, let's move on to Peter, who's calling us today from Vancouver. Hi, Peter.
Hi, thank you. Welcome, new host, and the great and popular Kim Bolton, the tech guru. Please, may I have your expert opinion on PLTR? It's gone to the all-time high of 125. In the last few days, it dropped down to $90. Your expert opinion, please, Kim.
All right, Mr. Guru, what do you have to say?
Thanks, Peter. I actually met Peter a couple of years ago out in...
You recognize his voice.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So this is a bit of a gift here because it, as you can see, that is sort of rolled over, and it was all because of Trump came out and he said one of the places that they're going to be able to save some money is on the defense side. And so the fact that it's come down, I actually think maybe you can pick it up here. I don't think you'll see it go under 80, but so they have two businesses out there. They have the Gotham, which is for the government side of it, and it's all about analytics. We have one of our analysts that is actually in the Valley, and when it comes to data analytics, Palantir is the place to go to. And so they have Gotham, which services the government side, governments around the world, and it actually accounts for about 65 to 70%. And then they have a foundry business that is more geared toward the enterprise side of things.
Okay, so you said you don't think it'll go under 80. It's at 91, thereabouts now. You'd still buy in?
Absolutely, because it was more recently up around 130.
Got it. All right, let's go back to the phones. Jerry's on the line from Oshawa in Ontario. Hi, Jerry. What is your question today for Kim?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Kim, I'm asking about Arista Networks. This one's come down. Is it a buy, sell, or hold? Thank you.
Arista Networks.
Thanks, Jerry. We still own it. It's interesting in the technology arena, Morella, that the pendulum sort of swings between software and hardware.
Yes.
And with this big infrastructure build out for artificial intelligence, it's not just being the hyperscalers and the NVIDIAs and the designers, TSMC, but it's also sort of spread over into the routers and the switches that come from Arista and Cisco and Dell and so on. So we still like Arista, currently trading right around 97.5, and we have a 12-month price target of 123.
And they're a cloud operating company, essentially?
Yeah, so Arista, the fellows that started Arista, which would have been back in 2014, 15, actually came from Cisco.
Okay.
And they went through a lot of litigation because everyone said that they were using old Cisco stuff. But they got out of that, and then they're just, it's not unique when it comes to the routers and the switches that they sell, but it's just the management is what makes Arista. They're just good business people, and they know the product, and they certainly know the customers.
Got it. All right, we do have to take a quick break here on Market Call. Back with Kim Bolton in a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here on Market Call. We have Kim Bolton in the chair today to take all your questions on technology stocks. We're going right to the phones. We have Andrew on the line who's calling from Winnipeg. Hi, Andrew. Andrew, are you still there? Okay, we seem to have lost him, but he did have a question about Well Health.
Yep. Boy, this was a sleeper for such a long time. But now it's just shy, well, it's just over $6, and we have a 12-month price target of $8.80. We don't have it in all the portfolios, but so they're out of Vancouver, and basically what they do is they operate a sort of diverse healthcare digital platform for doctors and medical centers around.
Are they sort of the back room for the doctors, the administrative processes?
Yeah, exactly. And they digitalize, and certainly the healthcare industry needs that help a little
They've been asking for a lot of help for a while, yes.
Yeah. And so it's sort of, but it does the back office for the doctors, but it also helps them on the front office with some software applications and so on. They've done some acquisitions, and actually, probably the biggest news and what lifted it from sort of that $3 to $4 level, sort of this time last year, up to the $6 level, is that they finally achieved a $1 billion annualized revenue run rate. And so it came up on the radar of a lot of people.
Yeah, more people are talking about it, definitely, over the last little while. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Justin is on the line calling us from Cobourg, Ontario. Justin, what is your question today?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Kim, always great to get your insights on tech stocks. My question is on Keysight Technologies. They're down quite a bit from their high, and they pulled back further today from what I thought was a good earnings report and forecast. So I was just hoping to get your thoughts on the company for a long-term hold, and would you be adding to a position at these levels? I'll hang up now and listen to your response. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Good question. So currently trading just around that, around 162, and we have a 12-month price target of 188. So it's got a bit of a runway, but not that much left. So what Keysight does is that they provide electronic design and test solutions for communications and networking and aerospace and defense and so on. So it's sort of like a digitalized measurement type company.
Okay.
They don't have that much competition in it. So they reported in November. So I don't know. Up at this level, I think there are better companies with longer runways.
That do the same kind of measurement that they do?
Maybe not just in this field, because it's sort of like the total addressable market is not as huge as you can find in other sort of businesses. Right?
So you're saying go a different route.
Right.
Got it. All right. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Steve is on the line. He's calling us from Winnipeg. Hi, Steve.
Yes, good morning. It's always a pleasure to be able to put a question to Mr. Bolton. So the specific company I'm asking about is Nebius, NBIS on NASDAQ, which is a company that engages in building the overall full-stack infrastructure to service the global AI industry. I'd be interested in Mr. Bolton's comment either on this company or a company that he prefers in this space. Thanks very much.
You seem to know your stuff there, Steve. So Nebius, it's an interesting company. Yes, it's out of Europe, but it's actually it's the old Yandex guys. So Yandex was out of Russia.
Okay.
And so they were a significant player in Russia, but then with everything that happened through the Ukraine and so on, they got out of Dodge, and then they've reestablished themselves, and they've made quite a splash. So currently trading, I think around 36.5. The average analyst out there actually has a 12-month price target of $36. So it's pretty fully priced. But it sort of caught the attention of a lot of people out there. And yes, Steve, they do sort of the full stack infrastructure for the cloud, very much involved in the AI-centric cloud platforms. And the fellows know their stuff very, very well. And it's pricey here.
Okay, so they've kind of hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, let's move on to another caller. John is on the line. He's calling us from London, Ontario. Hi, John. What is your question today for Kim?
Thank you, Kim, and thank you for a litany of good picks that adorn my portfolio. Most recently, NVIDIA, Palantir, and CrowdStrike. If you recall, CrowdStrike was doing well, and then they had a problem with their software update, and they inconvenienced some airline customers. I held your advice, and then I added, and it's done very well, but it's recently pulled back. Any concerns here, or is this a hold? Thanks very much, Kim.
Thanks a lot, John. Yeah, and if any of the listeners, if we don't get to the questions, just give us a call at Black Swan. So currently trading here around $3.99, and we have a 12-month price target of $4.08. So it hasn't got that much room. You know, John, I would actually recommend, instead of a CrowdStrike, that you look at Sentinel-1. Sentinel-1 was sort of like the teenager in the room in this cybersecurity space. They also, CrowdStrike and CyberOne, together with Checkpoint and CyberArk, they're very, very big into identity assessment. And so I would, yeah, John, I'd actually sort of steer you toward Sentinel-1.
Sentinel-1 is the one we have up right now. They're at 21.23. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, and you see some more growth there compared to?
Yeah.
Got it. All right. We hope that helped, John. Let's move on to a quick break. We are going to take a quick break on Market Call and come back with more of your questions and answers, as well as past picks. That's in a moment. Stay tuned. back, and thanks for joining us here on Market Call. Time now for Past Picks with our guest, Kim Bolton, who is in-house. The Past Picks were done February 21st of last year, so just over a year ago. And Kim, we're going to start with ASML Holding, NV, semiconductors, I believe they do. So they were at the time 908.21. That's American. They've dropped to 751.53. So they're down by 17%. The total return down 16%. What happened to them?
So it was last fall, October the 16th, actually, that they issued a warning that really sort of shocked the whole global chip investors out there. And they cut their 2025 guidance, mainly citing weakness in markets outside of AI. And they sort of raised the whole concerns about sort of non-artificial intelligence applications. We scrambled, got out of the way. And it was the right thing to do. Now, sort of in the semiconductor hardware space, there's sort of four groups of players. There's the designers like the NVIDIAs and AMD. Then there's the manufacturers that will be like TSMC, but also ASML. ASML, what they really sort of carved out is this lithography, photolithography machines used in chip manufacturing. And so they use this ultraviolet lithography system to actually sort of etch out the chips and so on. And they sort of carved that out. However, it is sort of a cyclical business. And so we don't hold it right now. It's currently trading around 735. The average price target out there is sort of dreaming, but it's up around 885.
Wow. Okay. So
it does have some runway up there. But in our fund and our separately managed accounts, we usually hold either side of 20 stocks, and so because it's such a big space right now, you can sort of pick and choose.
So you got out of it, but if people are still holding on to it, do you recommend they do hold on to it?
At this stage, no.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, good to get you on that. Let's go to your next past pick, which was Canon, which trades initially in Japan. We did the translation in American, so recommended at 2011, now at 34.39, so a 22% return, 26% total return.
Yep. So, Canon, out of Tokyo. So they're in this area called nano imprint lithography, and the company's technology involves the stamping of chip designs on silicon wafers.
Okay.
And they've really made quite a splash out there because they've taken on ASML. And they have some very, very deep pockets. In the past, Canon was all about cameras and printers, but then they've sort of carved out this niche in the lithography side. And so currently, right now, we have, it's currently priced around 34. The runway is sort of skinny at this point. We have a price target, a 12-month price target of $36.50.
Interesting, then, that you recommended both of them at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to your third pick, then, for last year in February, which was a stock we talk a lot about, Tesla, which was recommended at the time at 194, almost 195 American, selling now at 299, almost $300. 54% jump, total return the same over the last year plus. And we all know the story there, but it has been hit a little bit lately.
Like a lot.
Some of it because of consumer sentiment has a lot to do with it.
Well, everyone sort of thinks that Elon has sort of taken his eye off of Tesla. and sort of hanging around the White
House a little too much.
A little too much. But it actually traveled all the way up to 340, 350. And I remember when I recommended this, like just under $200, shortly after that, it went all the way down to 145.
People were scratching their heads, I'm sure. Why did Kim recommend that?
Yeah. And so, but Elon has done a fantastic job in actually building out and leveraging the whole electric vehicle and clean energy company. So the products are of course on the cars, but it's also on the storage, the autonomous driving. They're big into the AI and software. So I really sort of look at Tesla as more like a trading stock. So we don't own it now. We actually owned it, and we probably got rid of it just over this level here. But currently, sort of, we have a 12-month price target of 410. But the volatility, this is a great example of where you really have to, you don't trade it, so you don't marry into the stock. And you can just sort of trade around Tesla. Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that sentiment from Americans or even sort of globally will simmer for a while and have that continuous effect on the stock? Does something like that typically dissipate?
No, I think with Tesla, it has a significant footprint, certainly in North America, not so much over in Europe, and in fact, from what we hear through our various research, is that Europeans have really sort of taken a back seat. But it's still pretty strong, actually, over in China. So it's a tradable stock. It's not something you sort of marry into.
Got it. All right, we are going to take a quick break here on Market Call. Kim Bolton sticking around to take more of your questions when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Market Call, and thanks for joining us today. We want to go right back to your phone calls. Anna's on the line from Scarborough, Ontario. Hi, Anne. What is your question today for Kim?
Oh, Kim, you have such a calm, soothing voice. I can't imagine you ever getting angry. However, my question is, there's been a bit of buzz about Intel lately. Would you buy, hold, or sell? Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. You should see it from my perspective. Gosh, Intel, this is the one that you just turns my stomach. We still own it. It's certainly in play. The likes of they sort of want to carve it up after that fellow left, and they're still sort of looking for a new CEO. So currently trading just around that 23.5. We have a 12-month price target of 27.5, but it's certainly sort of come in play. And it's been all the way down to, down to 18.5. So the company operates through client computing, through various groups like client computing group, data centers, AI, networking. They also have a controlling portion of Mobileye, okay. So in that autonomous driving. They're in the foundry side, but it's a very, they've often talked about how they were going to sort of carve it up and carve out the foundry side and concentrate more on sort of the servicing side of things. So we still own it mainly because it's in play.
So did their CEO leave last summer?
Yeah.
You saw that stock just nosedive after that.
It nosedived during his tenure. He just tried to do too much.
Okay.
And Intel, certainly on the foundry side, they got to compete with TSMC, who has very deep pockets and a controlling, they own like 55% of the foundry business. But they also do the designing of chips in-house, but they also do it for other people. So it's a very capital-intensive business. They got into the whole autonomous driving technology side, and then into the sort of edge computing side of things. So it's sort of the stock you love to hate.
Okay, got it. Let's move back to the phone lines. We have a caller, Darlene, on the line, who's calling us today from Kamloops, BC. Hi, Darlene.
Hi. Excellent show, Morella.
Thank you.
And you also have an excellent guest. I would like Mr. Bolton's view or outlook on Salesforce.
Salesforce, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Darlene. So currently, here we are, we're trading around 311, is that right? 308. We have a 12-month price target of 400. We own it, we like it, and they're really one of the ones that have really monetized the application side of AI. So,
in what ways?
So they, for the last couple of years, generative AI has been all about the infrastructure and the build-out, and with the hyperscalers and so on. But then Salesforce has been around sort of on the sales to data store, and with the whole Einstein Copilot they have. And so they've actually monetized AI in the application. That was sort of the golden goose that you wanted to find out there. So you build up the infrastructure and then you put it into the applications out there. And Salesforce is the first one to actually do it. So that's why we like them. When do they report? They reported last in the beginning of December, so it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. So I'd still hold on to it. It has a good runway left in it between here and 400.
Got it. All right, we are going to take a quick break. Back with Kim Bolton on Market Call in just a moment. Welcome back to Market Call. We have Gerald on the line from Winnipeg, and he has a question today on technology stocks. Gerald, what is your question for Kim today?
Hello. Thanks for taking my call. I'd like Kim's opinion on Micron Technologies going forward. Thank you. I'll hang up and listen.
Micron.
Thanks, Gerald. So here, Micron is currently trading just under 100. 99.40. It's sort of popped a little bit today. We have a 12-month price target, Gerald, up at 128.70. So Micron, they provide memory and storage. It's a bit of a cyclical business. So it has both DRAM products, and DRAM stands for Dynamic Random Access Memory for semiconductor devices. With low latency and high-speed retrieval. And then they also have NAND products, which are sort of not as volatile, sort of rewritable semiconductor storage devices.
They were up at 157, I guess, last June,
Yeah,
and then down to 83 at one point, back up a little bit now to almost 100.
but it's an interesting industry on sort of the DRAM and NAND side of it, because it's a cyclical business. And so when it's out of favor, it can last for quite a while. That's why we actually subscribe to Gartner, because Gartner has a lot of the raw numbers where you can sort of figure out what that balance is between supply and demand out there on DRAM and NAND. So,
considering it got down to 83, would you buy in at about 100 now?
yeah, because the runway is still pretty clear up toward 130. And certainly with this whole AI revolution, it's got quite an appetite, right?
Okay, let's go back to the phones. We have on the line Dave from Edmonton, who's calling today with a question for Kim. Hi, Dave.
Hi, I was just calling about Celestica. I was wondering if you think it's a good buy, and I noticed that we went down to about $100 at the bottom yesterday, and back like 3 weeks ago we had earnings and it was up to 140. I was just wondering if you could help explain what happened and where you think it might go from there.
Okay, so what has happened with Celestica?
Well, it really sort of, in the last couple of weeks, and it's really only been the last couple of weeks, where there's been some concerns, because of the whole business that was going on over in China, and they were able to do it actually cheaper. And so everything just sort of rolled over. But, Celestica, they provide supply chain solutions around the world and operates really through advanced technology solutions and also through connectivity and cloud solution segments. So currently trading here right around just shy of 164. And it's got a 12-month, we have a 12-month, well, the industry out there has a 12-month price target of 199. So it has a good runway left in it.
Got it. All right, let's get another caller. And John's on the line from Winnipeg today. Hi, John.
How you doing? I'm very big on cyber, but who isn't nowadays? And I was looking at Okta. 1.2 million shares have been bought on this dip in the last 4 days. There's quite a bit of interest here. What are your views on Okta at this price? And their earnings are coming up on, looks like the 4th of March.
Tell us a little bit about Okta.
So it's a relatively young company. It was founded back in 2009, and it's their claim to fame is that they're one of the leaders when it comes to identity and access management. And it started out of San Francisco. It's a cloud-based software solution that basically helps companies manage and secure their user authentication into applications. And it also enables developers out there to build identity controls into applications and websites and web services and devices.
More important than ever, yeah.
Yeah. So currently trading...
Sorry, we had the graph up. We'll bring it back up. We just saw it, and it's disappeared. But there we go, 90.18 at this point.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a 12-month price target of $106.25. I like it because it's... we subscribe to Gartner. I don't know if we've talked about Gartner.
We haven't talked about the Gartner.
So Gartner is the go-to place when it comes to technology. Not so much on the investing side, but for companies out there, if they want to get into, into leading identity access management. And so actually Gartner has Okta as their leader in this category for access management. And they've been the leader actually for 8 years.
Oh.
So they've really sort of carved out a nice niche in there. it's not that big a company because it's got a market cap of $15.5 billion US. And so, yeah, we like it. And it's a bit of a tradable stock. So, you could buy it here. I'd actually add to it down around 86.25, and then it shouldn't go under 80.
Got it. All right. That is all the time we have for calls today, but stick around because we're going to share our top picks, or Kim's going to share his top picks when we come back. Time now to do top picks with Kim Bolton, who is in the house with his picks today. And the top one is not a surprise. Everybody's talking and watching this stock today, NVIDIA, trading now at about 132 up, almost 6 today. And it's a pick of yours. Why?
Because we love this stock.
To say it simply.
I don't know if it's your rule, but it's certainly our rule. We never recommend anything that we've recommended within the last 12 months. And the last time we recommended it was in January of 2024.
Okay.
So it was a great opportunity. It just happens that they are reporting today. So I don't know. It got all the way up to about 145, 148. But NVIDIA, it's a fantastic story and a great history that it's gone through because it played in the cryptocurrencies for a while. Then it bought a company called Mellanox out of Israel, and this is really what has propelled them into the graphic processing unit side, and they own 80% of it, 80 to 85%. They report tonight. They said that they were going to do around 37.5 million in revenue for the quarter. We think it's going to be sort of more like around 38.5 to 39. But it's not just the GPUs that they're involved in. They have so many other businesses that, because they've made so much money, that they've been able to get into. And so, yes, they're a leader in the GPUs, but they've also got into professional visualization. They're a big supplier into automated driving and sort of AI deployment and data centers and so on. So anyway, we have a 12-month price target of 175. And we're sort of in the same game as everyone else, up 170 to 180.
Got it. All right, let's move on to Taiwan Semiconductor, which is your next pick.
Mm-hmm.
Taiwan Semiconductor, what do you see there?
So it's, as we were talking before about the foundry side, so you have the designers, you have the foundries, you have the equipment suppliers. And so TSMC is the undisputed market leader when it comes to the semiconductor foundries. They have around 51, 52% market share. And they're going to maintain that because they just have huge economies of scale that competitors really can't come close to. Every time someone like an Intel or a Samsung think that they're catching up, then they come out with their nanometer 4, their nanometer 3, and now they're saying later this year they're going to have the new nanometer 2 that is going to come out. And so
they're just a step ahead of everybody.
Yeah, but they have very, very deep pockets. So they reported back in January the 16th, but it is a bit of a cyclical business.
Okay. Let's move to the third one, ARM Holdings PLC.
Yeah.
We're running a bit out of time, but what do you see there?
So ARM Holdings currently trading at around 140.5. We have a 12-month price target of 193. So the major shareholder on this is SoftBank. So they're a British multinational semiconductor software design company. They specialize in designing CPUs, central processing units, that help them implement their ARM architecture out there. So they do processing and designs, they have their GPUs, they have their neural processing units, and so on. And they last reported on February 5th. They beat on the top line, beat on the bottom line, and they actually guided higher. And so it's trading at a PE multiple of almost 100 times. So,
Okay.
so it's expensive, but it has a good runway in front of it.
Kim Bolton, we got to leave the conversation there, but clearly you're a very popular guest. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for answering the questions of callers. Very much appreciated. That's all the time we have for Market Call today. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you again tomorrow.